Do you feel like you need a better understanding of the course of study or how you can adapt it to the needs of your students? Knowing how to unpack a standard can provide you with a deep understanding of the content and skills included in a standard, which will in turn help you select the best instructional methods to support students in mastering the standard. Standards are sometimes written as overarching and often complex statements that can be interpreted in different ways. So it is important for teachers to share a common understanding of the goals and targets of a standard. Unpacking the standards gets to the heart of what students need to know and be able to do at the end of a grade or course. In addition, the standards documents often contain a mix of knowledge, skills, and conceptual understandings. So it is necessary to unpack them to clarify the desired results and develop appropriate assessments and instruction. The process of unpacking the standards has implications for both instruction and assessment. You will notice that courses of study are broken down into different categories and subcategories, which may be called content areas, disciplinary core ideas, strands, clusters, or topics depending on the subject area. Within each category, you will find the content standards and any applicable substandards. Examine this science standard. Content standards are statements that define what students should know and be able to do at the conclusion of a course or grade and contain minimum required content. The lettered substandards denote content that is related to the parent standard and it is required for instruction. It identifies additional minimum required content. Some standards, like this one, include examples, which clarify certain components of content standards. Examples are illustrative but not exhaustive and do not include required content. All grade level content standards will include at least one concept and at least one skill. In some standards, a context or restricting condition is explicitly included, while in other standards, the context is implied. Concepts are the big or main ideas within the standard that are related to the subject area, such as plot in ELA, multiplication in math, or photosynthesis in science. Many concepts are introduced in the early grades and then revisited again and again at a more rigorous skill level at later grades. The skill is determined by the verb or verb phrase that is included in the standard. The verb indicates the level of thinking students will be challenged to reach. The context is the restricting condition, method, or resource that must be used to accomplish the skill or concept. When unpacking a standard, skills must be measurable. Students must be able to demonstrate what you are expecting, and this can only be done orally or in writing. If a content standard asks a student to solve an equation or identify a cause of World War I, this can be measured. If a standard asks a student to learn or understand a concept, both of which are not measurable, it is important to determine a skill that can be measured when you are unpacking the standard. Let's unpack a standard. Take a look at this kindergarten ELA standard. Students will actively listen and speak using agreed upon rules for discussion with guidance and support. To unpack this standard, we'll ask ourselves 3 questions. What is it that the students need to know? What is it that the students must be able to do, or the student behavior? And under what conditions are required for the performance of this standard, if that's stated explicitly? First, we want to find the concepts, or the what we want students to learn. In this standard, it's the agreed upon rules for discussion. Then we want to look to see what the standard wants us to do with that concept, the verb, the skill, the how. Notice that this standard includes 2 skills, actively listen and speak, which are both actions students can demonstrate. Finally, we see that this standard has a context or condition with guidance and support. In working towards mastery of this particular standard, students may receive guidance and support from the teacher. Now that we know how to identify the concept and skills within a standard, we will unpack each of our Alabama Course of Study standards into 4 categories: teacher vocabulary, knowledge, skills, and understanding. The teacher vocabulary area lists key terms in the standard that are essential for the teacher to interpret and understand to lead students to grade level attainment. The knowledge area defines the concepts that students will need to know to master the standard. The skills area identifies academic, procedural behaviors the student will be able to do after mastering the standard. The understanding area describes the big ideas, the key understandings, the ahas, or the takeaways that you want students to discover on their own by the end of a unit of study. Taking the concept, skills, and understanding, we now have a better understanding of what students should know and be able to do in reaching a standard benchmark. By doing this, we raise our expectations for what students need to know and be able to do, as well as how we are going to support them in mastering each of the grade level standards and how they are going to demonstrate what they've learned. This aids us in planning instructional and assessment strategies to guide students in their achievements.